Alrighty, we're going to be making a little general purpose pouch that's going to be able to fit right in here, this gap in my chest rig. It's going to be 4 MOLLE slots wide, but you can adjust the width of the material or the dimensions of the fabric you start off with to fit anything you want. But mine's going to be sitting right in here. What we're going to need to make one this size is a piece of material. This is 7.5 by 12. How you figure out the size of fabric you're going to need is take whatever width you need to fill. Remember, each stitch, each little section of MOLLE right there is 1.5 inches, so 4 of them, that's going to be 6. Add about 1.5 inches to the overall width, and then the height of it. Basically just measure the height you want it to be, and then multiply that height by 2, because you got to go and flop it over, and then add about 2 inches to that, and that'll get you your material size roughly. So first thing you want to start off doing is having some pieces of Velcro cut to the width of your fabric. You're going to have 2 hook side pieces and 1 loop side piece. We're going to take these 2 hook side pieces. They're going to be going on the inside of the pouch. So there's the outside of our fabric, there's the inside. We're going to fold over the top 1/4 inch and the bottom 1/4 inch and put this hook side Velcro basically right on the line of both those folds, and then we're going to sew it on. When you're making these folds, it really helps to have some of this little 1/4 inch double-sided tape. Sometimes it makes things a lot easier to lay out. Then before you sew these pieces down, you're going to take your loop piece of Velcro, and it's going to go on the outside of the pouch, but it's going to go in the exact same spot as this. So you can go ahead and tape it on before you sew that down, just to save you some stitching, because you can go around the edge and get them both at once. There we go. So now see, we've got the loop on the outside and the hook on the inside. Now we can just sew around the edge of both of these pieces. Now you're going to make some marks from this side that only has the hook Velcro. You're going to make marks starting at the top in 1 inch increments, about halfway down through the piece of material. You're going to come up with those same marks over here on the other side too. Now to make our marks go on this way, we've got 4 MOLLE columns at 1.5 inches each. So that means that we want to have 6 inches from here to here that we're going to put our webbing between. We're going to mark that 6 inches right there in the middle. And then we're going to mark 1.5 inch increments down inside that 6 inches and break it up. And then we're going to do the same thing down here at the bottom. Then you can just connect the lines. If you don't like seeing the marks on your material after you make them, you can always use a piece of chalk or something, and that'd wash off pretty easy. But having the marks on there really helps you lay everything out. If you did the chest rig video, I didn't make the long lines on that one, and then I kind of got off to the side and out of line in parts of it because I didn't have a constant guideline to go by. Now we're going to take some 1 inch webbing. We're going to add about 1 inch to whatever the distance is between our 2 farthest lines. Like I said, for 4 columns it's going to be 6 inches, so here's some 7 inch webbing. I'm going to fold over the ends and I'm going to set it down here, and we're going to make a stitch along each one of these vertical lines. And as we stitch down, we're going to put in our second piece right down here. For this one, because it's a pretty short one, it's not very deep, we're only going to have 2 horizontal pieces of webbing on the back of it. Next, you're going to make the straps that you weave it all together with. How you're going to measure this is you measure from the top, come all the way down to the bottom, and basically just double that so you can make it to where it folds over. So for me, it's going to be 14.5 inches. And how I'm going to make this is I'm just going to fold it over, leave about 3/4 of an inch up at the top sticking out, and then I'm going to sew down the outsides and then down the middle. I'm not going to go all the way to the end. I'm going to leave about 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch at the end. Leave that little loop in there. That loop is what we're going to feed a little bit of string through. That's going to tie off the bottom of this. You're just going to take the end that's not quite doubled over all the way, put this line right here, right on top of the pouch, set it there, and then you're going to sew that down. You're going to sew each one of these in that position. With all those sewn on, you can fold it inside out, corner to corner, make sure everything's lined up really well. And you're just going to put a stitch down both sides, make it a double stitch, go down and back about 1/4 inch from the edge. Now come down to each of these bottom corners and flatten it out in this direction, just like that, to where the stitch we just made is pointing straight up the middle of that right angle. And you're going to sew 1 stitch across right there to where it's about 1 inch total in length. So we're just going to nip off the very, very little tip of this pouch right there. Alright, so right now in its current form, it's just an open top pouch. Because we have this hook side Velcro right here on the inside, that allows us to make custom inserts for it. So if you want to have 2 rifle mags in here, 2 rifle mags will fit. And all you need to do is make a little elastic insert that grabs onto this and helps hold the mags in place. Or you can make just a flap that grabs this back bit of Velcro right there, comes over the top, and attaches to this piece of Velcro, and then it's just a open general purpose pouch. So we're gonna make one of each just to show you both ways. For the mag insert, all you're gonna do is you're gonna take whatever mags you want to put in there, rifle, pistol mags, and set it on top of your elastic. This is some 4-inch elastic, and then you're gonna pretty much wrap the elastic around it. That's gonna tell you what length it needs to be. Alright, cut that right there. Then you grab your loop side Velcro, measure the width of whatever mag you want, and cut some squares, basically 1 for each side of however many mags you're putting in this thing. Don't make them too large, and if you just try to string 1 piece of Velcro all the way across, then this elastic won't have any room to stretch and it won't quite work right. So you're just going to evenly space these along your elastic, just like that. Then put them just the same on the back side. You're going to set them near the top because it's your Velcro is near the top of the pouch. And then you can open it up, keep the spacing, and you're just going to sew each one of those down. So just sew around the perimeter of each one of those once you get them equally spaced across here. Now you just fold them in on themselves, line up the edge, and you're going to make a double stitch right there. And you're going to flip it right side out and find the area that is going to bisect your magazines, split that up evenly, and put a stitch down between each magazine. To insert it, you just stick it right down inside the pouch, keep your hands over the pieces of Velcro, that way they don't stick, and then right here at the very top, just match up the pieces of Velcro so they stick onto each other. Kind of squish the pouch together. And there you go. Now you've got two elastic magazine slots. And they stay inside there pretty well. They aren't going to come out, but they're still pretty easy to remove. For the flapper, you need to cut a piece of material that's going to be able to wrap from 2 inches down inside the pouch to 2 inches over the top with a little bit of space in between whenever it's folded in half. So I got mine 6.5 by 12. I got the 6.5 from the width of the pouch. To start, fold it over on the inside, leaving about 1 inch extra up at the top. Then you're going to sew down each edge. I'll take some double-sided tape, run it along this top edge that we left open, and fold that edge over on itself. And then you're going to take a piece of Velcro and set it down over that, line it up right on the edge, tucking the corners in, and you're going to sew that around the perimeter of the Velcro. And then you flip it over, and then you put the other piece of Velcro over here on this side. So to use the flap, you just take the side of it that has the loop, and you're going to slide that down inside the pouch without letting any of it touch. And you just press it down once you get it in place. There you go, now you have a flapped pouch. And you can just pull that over. Now you have a flap on it. You can put whatever you like in there. Alright, there we go. There's 2 pouches in one. These guys like this, you can make them any size. You can make them to where it's the entire front of your chest rig. There's just one big pouch like this, and you can make these little inserts that basically build it out to exactly what you want to do. If you wanted to, you could even have a longer one with a couple of these inserts over on one side, and you make like a little small flap, and you just flap off some of it for a GP pouch. Then you have some inserts in there to hold some magazines or your radio, and you can make all kinds of combinations. Anyways, sky's the limits on this kind of thing. It's pretty fun, but let's toss it on there and see how it fits. Yeah, it's pretty well. Pretty good for a couple fast mags to have right up front that don't have the little bungee over them, but they still stay pretty well retained. And this package is pretty nice and flat down on here. It looks pretty sharp, but yeah, still pretty easy to flip back and forth. I think that I'll probably end up keeping it as a general purpose pouch because I've already got quite a few pouches in here, but it works pretty nice. I like it. There we go.